Welcome to Huddle for Success. I'm your host, Duane Gibbs, alongside my partner, as always, Mark Bruce, the Hall of Famer, and we come to you each and every Monday with a new episode. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to 2026. We're excited to be here for this new year. As promised, we have a special guest today on this episode, and we have several lined up for this year. Again, also past guests that were on coming to us with new information, new ways that how they're doing their business, whether it be investing or different tools that they're using for their tool bag. We're really excited.
Welcome to Huddle for Success, real talk, real goals, and real results, where they help you make it happen in your life and business. Your hosts are Mark Bruce and Duane Gibbs, and they're here to help you level up your mindset, growth, and your success. Whether you're after personal growth or financial growth, they have you covered. Now let's huddle up.
Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Duane. Good to be with you.
Yeah, it's a great day. We have a awesome guest today. This is Ange Dove. She lives in Singapore, and we were on her podcast right before the holiday, and we had such a blast. She is a blast. She's a lot better than she was before because she was a little under the weather. And so today we're really going to get a dose of it, I feel. Great smile, great attitude. And maybe we can talk about the saxophone in a box and talk a little bit about that. But Angie, we are glad to have you. And I know Mark wants to say a few words about you and about what you've been doing and your background.
Yes, it's so great to have you, Angie. And just for everybody listening, Angie, she's a personal branding specialist. She's a copywriter and a business coach. Somebody that we definitely like having as somebody that we know because we might use some of those services down the road.
Absolutely.
But she's in Singapore. She's built the first and longest standing dedicated copywriting agency in Singapore. She is a branding specialist, and I'm sure she'll be able to tell us a lot about her story there. She works with corporations, individuals, C-suite, solopreneurs. She works with a lot of very successful people like all of you listening. Angie, welcome to Huddle for Success.
Thank you very much. It's exciting to be here. I love talking to you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, love it. So let's start off. I have the first question. And so it's something that we went over prior to us getting on, and that is about your newfound subject that you're really focusing on, and that's your Gen X. And so why don't you talk a little bit about that and what your vision is and the people that you're helping and what's that look like?
I think my audience has always been the same. It's just putting them into that bucket of Gen X. I think it's an easy to understand avatar in a way. And it's something that sometimes you get inspiration from what you see online. And I've been scrolling online. I've been looking at Facebook and different places. And I've been seeing a lot of like comedy kind of sketches or reels about Gen X and how they're the forgotten generation, but they're the strong generation. And I just thought that's who I target. Is they are just people that just go and do it, that just get things done. And that's who I'm wanting to help, is people who know what to do, want to get things done. They just need a guide to help them through the transition through life. I'm either helping them leave their corporate job and start a new business, or just rebrand them within their corporate space so that they have better opportunities. So that's where I'm coming from. And I just love working with these people because they know what they want and they're go-getters and they go and get. So that's who I'm helping.
Yeah.
That's great.
We agree. They are people that we love to help as well.
Yeah.
But so tell us a little bit about your background, because I think your background leads into how you came up with what you want to work with these people on.
Yeah, I've had quite a few transitions myself. And I think when you're running a business, that's going to happen. The only constant is change.
Absolutely.
So over the course of so I started off basically as an English teacher in Singapore. I was teaching English, and I knew that wasn't really what I wanted to do. When I had my kids, when they were young, I wanted to spend time with them. And it was just at the dawn of the internet, home computers had just come out, and I just thought, I can work from home now and look after my kids. So that's what I wanted to do, is just work from home. But that didn't work out, because then the business actually took off. The copywriting business took off. Really, I was quite surprised at how it took off. And because it did, I then had to hire staff. And because I had to hire staff, I had to get an office. So I was like an accidental business owner in that sense. It wasn't really a plan, but that's how I started my business. And then over the years, different things happened within the industry where you had to then change and move with the times, kind of thing. So I think one of the biggest things that happened was Google for our industry. So when Google came out and it prioritized quality content, then the demand for copywriting exploded in Singapore.
Yes.
Anyway, just absolutely exploded.
Yeah.
So that brought us business, but it also brought us competition we didn't have before. So there was learning to deal with that as well. But the biggest change was ChatGPT. So as you're learning to move with the times, it's recognizing when it's time to move on, when it's time to do something different. And you're
Yes.
always looking at different avenues and how can you brand yourself in a different way. And I'm constantly doing it. I'm looking at, since ChatGPT, how do I keep this copywriting business alive? Because I will be the last one standing. That's what I've decided.
A true entrepreneur statement.
Yeah.
But the need is a different need, or it's done in a different way. So obviously ChatGPT and different writing tools will take a lot of the heavy lifting, and I would embrace it wholeheartedly.
Yes.
I think you do need AI. It's there, it's not going to go away, so you might as well use it to your advantage. So that's what I'm doing in my agency. And then it's just working ways to, okay, how can I put my offer out? And I think with personal branding as well, it's a lot of people make the mistake of trying to be too broad with their offering sometimes, with the feeling that if they narrow it down to too narrow a niche, they're going to lose business. But actually, when you narrow it down, marketing becomes so much easier. You're talking to that one person, and it's easier to get your message across then and get business that way.
We
So
spent a lot of time hitting our head up against the wall on that statement. As that is
Yeah.
yes, we agree with you 1,000,000% that is totally true, because as business owners, we try to attract everyone because we believe that our product can help everybody. And even though it may, at the end of the day, those people will find you, but you have to find that center of avatar of the
Yeah.
people that you're targeting. And so
Yeah.
at the end of the day, our avatar was Mark and I, you
Yeah.
know, exactly who we are. And we were it's kind of like there's a pile of money in the room, and we were walking around the pile. And we were like, where is it? Where is it? And then once we saw, oh my goodness, look what's right there in the middle of the room, then all of a sudden the light bulbs went off. And again, it's just another aha moment. And it's so many people, and like us, we felt, hey, we need the masses, we need that. And until we started dwindling down and collaborating and finding out really what is our avatar, what does that
Yeah.
look like, and
Yeah.
chat helped us with that.
Yeah. It's
If
amazing what it
people
can do.
have to, like you said, have to embrace chat, because if not, you're not going to be the smartest person in the room. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And also when it's yourself and it's your own business, and especially when you're new, but throughout, it doesn't stop really.
that's
It's
right.
the whole time. It's, you have blind spots because it's you. So sometimes I find like writing copy for my own business is the hardest. I
Yeah.
can write it for other people and it's obvious. It seems like obvious. This is what you need to say. But then when I do it for myself, it's, oh my God. So using ChatGPT and different writing, AI writing tools, it's being able to put all the information in and see what it comes back with. And then you're working with it. And it is a chat process, right? It's not me
Yes.
put one thing in, just get one thing back and accept it as gospel. Just working out what those messages were. And it was able to help me to put together messages that kind of combined everything I'm doing, because it's like the copywriting, the business, and the personal branding. How do you combine and make people understand what the value is there. So that helped me a lot with that as well.
Mark, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny. I was just telling somebody the other day, it's like when I first started coaching, I was trying to get the banner on my LinkedIn profile to be the right thing. And I was working in a mastermind group. We were all working on our own. We all had different businesses, and I could not figure out what my banner should say. And one person went and and they couldn't figure out theirs. And I was like, oh, it should say this. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I did the next person. And then somebody else did the next person. And then it got to mine. And I was like, I don't know what it should be. And somebody said, it should just be this. And that's what it is right now. Yes, it's like,
it seems so obvious now, right?
Oh
but
my
you couldn't
gosh.
get to it by yourself.
None of us could do our own.
Yeah.
And yet we could all do someone else's.
Exactly.
Yes. The benefit of a coach.
Yes. And this is, the benefit of a coach. And this is the thing as well with that kind of what you put on that banner is answering the easiest question in the world, but also the hardest, right?
Yes.
What do you do? Right? You go networking and somebody asks you, what do you do? If you haven't got that information to give them, it is the hardest question.
And it is the hardest because it needs to be a billboard. It needs to be 7 words or less. Almost.
Yeah. And understandable, right?
And it's so hard to get down to just those keywords.
Yeah. And I think people make a mistake sometimes of trying to be too clever. And the thing in copywriting is it's better to be clear than clever, right? So if you're clear with what your ask is, you're going to get business. If you make people think, not necessarily going to happen, right? So
Mark and I talk all the time about with 70 years of combined experience, we're real guys. Even though we may use chat just for collaboration and ideas and the spin on different things, we're not AI. So when people work with us, and just like you, when people work with you, it's real. Have to use chat at some point for the creativiness, but the wholesomeness and the knowledge, that's really the backbone of the business. And so if somebody knows what they're talking about, or if they don't, it's a fake it till you make it. And agree with you wholeheartedly. I know in your messaging on Podmatch, you talk about I left $1 million on the table because I didn't leverage my personal brand. And I'm assuming it has to do with chat and possibly, yes.
No, this is actually way before chat was even thought of, I think. Okay. So when I started my business, copywriting business, it was in the early days of websites. I got someone to do a website for me. And I managed to write a website that didn't really say I was a copywriter. That was it was really bad. So none of the keywords that should have been on there were there. That was one thing. Then I got another one done. But on my early websites, I wasn't there. I didn't show up on the website at all. You didn't see my face. You didn't even see my name. It was just the company. So I hid behind the brand. And this was at a time in Singapore where a native English speaker copywriter was in such demand. Like all companies were looking for somebody like me, right? And there were few and far between. So if I had put my face on the website, if I'd given my name, then I would have got a lot more business. So that's where the leaving the money on the table comes, because if I'd have put my personal brand there, which I didn't want to do, I would have got a lot more business. But it worked out a little bit anyway, because I would turn up for meetings and clients would say to me, oh, we heard so much about you. We finally get to meet you. We get to see you. We get to put a face to the name, right? Because I wasn't showing anything on, social media didn't even exist at that point. But I wasn't showing anything on the website. So then I was like wondering, how do you know me? Because I'm invisible. And that's the thing is, and because of those mistakes I made, that's why I can say to my clients, like, you don't be invisible. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You're the best asset for your business.
No question.
And you should be proud of that. And then it's just a case that one coach said to me, just get out of your own way. There are people waiting for you to show up to help them, because it's you they're waiting for. They're not waiting for somebody else. They're waiting for you. So everybody has an audience. Everybody can help someone in their own way. So that was a light bulb moment for me when that coach said that, and that changed everything. Then my face went on everything.
All right. So as a coach, when you help people, how do you help people find their own brand or their own voice?
Great question.
Oh, nice. So it's a lot of exploring, just internal retrospective, I think, just understanding who you are and not trying to be someone else. So it's if you're trying to be someone else and you're trying to copy someone, or you're trying to be what you think people are looking for, that really turns you into an actor 24/7, which nobody can do. And people can see if it's not real.
Sure.
And that happened to me a little bit and this is one of the things as well, as I say, start where you are, do what you can where you are. 100% it's going to change from whatever you're planning now. It will change as things move down the line, because as you start to speak to your real customers, you'll then begin to understand them more. And it's not necessarily what you assumed they wanted. They may want something different. And then you can start to build your messages from there. So nothing's set in stone. Whatever you decide to do with your personal brand, you can change it at any time. So I think this stops a lot of people when they think it's got to be perfect. It's got to be absolutely spot on before I launch, kind of thing. And I had at one time, I had a brand which I loved in terms of the visual. I thought it was a really nice visual, and I had positive feedback from people, but I felt it wasn't me at the time. And I felt quite uncomfortable, and it stopped me putting myself forward because I was thinking, this isn't me. This isn't me. Even though I had good response in terms of people saying, I love this brand, is really good. And I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable. So you've got to feel comfortable with what it is. And the best way to feel comfortable is just to be you. Yeah. Right. So it's not trying to invent somebody else. Just turn up as the best version of you, really.
So let's talk a little bit about, you went to college, right? Did you go to college?
No, I finished in England. It's called A levels, which is
Okay.
the entrance exams before university.
I
So
got
I
you.
stopped there. Yeah. Then I went into the bank. I worked in a bank.
So what was your let's talk about your transitioning from the bank into
Mm.
teaching, and why not the 9 to 5 anymore, and the entrepreneur came out in you, and just what was that mindset, and was that instilled in you when you were a little girl, or was your dad a corporate guy, 9 to 5, get a job? What did that look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I had no reference at all for starting a business when I started a business. My dad was in the RAF, my mum was a nurse. So there was no entrepreneurship in the family at all. And if you'd have asked me 30, 35 years ago when I was living in the UK, if you'd have told me you would be a business owner one day, I would go, what planet are you on? There's no way that's going to happen, because I knew nobody that ran business. When I was working in the bank, we would serve business owners, small business owners. So I could see who they were, but oh, that's what they do. That's not, I
That's
could
what
never
they
do
do.
that.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And
They're weird. And they're weird.
yeah, they're weird. Yeah. Why would you not have a steady income? Right. So it's that. So I was used to that, used to having a steady income. And then I visited Singapore on holiday one time, and I loved it. And I just thought, okay, someone said you can actually go out teaching. So I got a job teaching English as a foreign language in private language schools. So I had an 18-month contract to do that. And then the plan was just to go back to the UK after I finished that. But I just loved it so much. And I loved the teaching as well. And I just decided to stay on. I renewed the contract and stayed on. And then eventually I met my husband, who's a local Singaporean. And then I married here. So I'm still here now, 30
That's
years
awesome.
later. Yeah. So yeah, it was. And then wanting to set up my business was because I had 2 young children under the age of 2. And I was trying to do the teaching job, which was fixed hours, and having to try and fit the children in between that, kind of, in a way, which was awful. And as I said before, it was just at the dawn of the internet, and people starting to get their first home computers, and we got our first home computer. And then I just thought I could, and then looking at how badly writing was needed here at the time as well. As like, I could do this. This is something I can do. And I started, first of all, submitting articles to magazines and getting those accepted. And that sort of boosted my confidence. So people will pay me to
Oh,
write.
yeah. Yeah.
But that's a very slow process. So then I thought, how else can I do it? And one of my friends said, who ran a graphic design agency, said to me, graphic design agencies are all looking for copywriters. Why don't you do that? So I was like, okay. So I just rang around a few graphic design agencies. They said, yeah, we need your services. So I just started, I got a few regular gigs from that. And within 6 months, I just had regular income coming in that I could leave the job and and just run the business full time. And I've never looked back since then. That's all
So
I've
let's
done.
talk about your fear. Was there a fear of failure? Was there a fear of I find that people have fear of success. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I make it now. What do I do? What's
Yeah.
this look like? Can I sustain this? Is there going to be constant change? And I
Yeah.
tell them the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So get comfortable being uncomfortable.
that's right. That's right. So what was your
So
experience?
it was, no, I think I was just so ignorant of the whole thing that I wasn't afraid.
Normally we are.
So it was like I had no fear of actually doing it because I knew it was what I wanted to do. That was one thing. I really wanted it, and I was willing to put in the work to make it happen. So that was one of the things. So I was too busy to
wait a
be
minute, wait.
frightened.
Can you say that just one more time? I want everybody to hear this. That
What did I
what you
say?
just said, that you just really wanted it.
I really wanted it. I really wanted it. I knew that this was the key to my freedom in a way, that I could live my life on my terms. And that was more important to me. It wasn't the money. It was, I wanted to live life on my terms. And I wanted to be able to plan my own calendar. I wanted
Yes.
to be able to work where and when I wanted.
Yes.
So that was what drove me the whole time. And then during, like, for example, the 2008 recession, the collapse there, everything collapsed. I went from, at that point, I had to think about 7 employees, and I went back down to just me because I couldn't afford to keep them on. And so it was just me in a big office all on my own. And I even had to ask the landlord, could you cut my rent? Because I can't pay the rent. And so it was a really low point.
Wow.
But even then it was like, I'm not going back to a job. I'm not going back to a job. I've got to make this work.
That's awesome.
And then it did. It just picked up and it started to,
It's funny how it
do what you
finds
have
a
to do.
way. It's funny how you find a way after you've been in it. It's
Yeah.
a survival mode
Mm.
of having to make it. And
Mm.
so talk about, did you have pushback? Oh, you don't need to do that. You need to be safe. You need
Oh,
to
yeah.
stay with your 9 to 5. How
Yeah.
did you overcome that noise?
Everybody told me not to do it.
Mm,
Everybody except my husband. So my husband was just, yeah, if that's what you want to do, go and do it.
that's great.
Yeah. But everybody else was, no, you shouldn't do that. Why? Because it was also, when I started the business, it was quite a downturn in the economy at that point as well. My boss was begging me to stay and trying to put the fear in me of, you can't do this. This is a bad
Because
time
he
to
knew
start
that you could do it and
this.
he wanted you to stay.
He wanted me to
He
stay.
needed you were valued. You were valued as an employee. And so I talk all the time. I had a coach, Mark's dad coached him growing up all the way through sports and everything. And so my dad was a coach as well, but he was a 9 to 5er. He instilled in my head of, hey, go to a company, work 30 years, 40 hours a week, and everything will be okay. And then when I came home at a young age and he got let go of his job, it was, they're not going to be okay. He and my
Yeah.
mom worked really hard, and when I became an entrepreneur, he was still, that was that mentality. You need to get a job, and for me to never had to punch a clock and work straight on commission my entire life of 30 years. How in the world are you going to make it? And so many people said don't do it, and I, like you, just I knew that I didn't want somebody to value me. And
Yeah.
if I could work as hard in my work ethic for somebody else, but yet put it into my own way, and even if I had to work for a company, but it be independent contractor, where at the end of the day I was in control of that,
Yes.
that was the big thing for me. I wanted to be
Yeah,
in control. I didn't want somebody to tell me how much I was worth, and nobody should do that. No,
yeah,
nobody should be like that. I believe all
I
of
agree.
us, somewhere inside of us, have a passion and a drive to not only do better, but really
Mm,
have the ability to do better.
yeah.
So to listen to people that Mark and I say all the time, don't listen. If you're inspiring to do more, be more, want to do more, you can do it. No matter what it is, you can do it.
There's this saying that they say, what is it? Something about get out. What's this one where this, they say if someone says it's impossible, so it's something like getting out of the way of the people who are doing it. Right? If
Hmm.
you think you can't do it, just get out of the way of the people that are already doing it. Right.
Yeah.
So there's people will always look at things from their own perspective. So when they have a fear of starting a business and they wouldn't imagine ever starting a business, that's not the person you should listen to when you if
That's
you
right.
want to start a business. You need to find someone who's done it and then can guide you through because you can't listen to people shatter your dreams basically. Right.
Number one, they don't want you to prove them wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're
Yeah.
now that means that you went ahead and you succeeded. Now you have to prove them wrong because
Yeah.
now they're going to have to go do it because they told you,
Yeah.
oh, it can't be done. And they, again, here, clear take on your boss. He knew that you were going to make it.
And even like an example I have as well is the friend I talked about who ran a graphic design company. They were running the company for about 10 years, really successful. And then the rent, something happened in Singapore where the rents tripled overnight. They just put all the
Wow.
landlords put the rents up. And they had a really nice office that they just renovated. Everything was bolted to the floor or to the wall and nothing was going to be moved. And then their rent tripled. And
Wow.
I said to her, "What are you going to do?" And I just always remember this has just been the one thing I think that has kept me going in my business was this statement. She just said, "I'm just going to have to make more money." That's it. Just going to have to make more money. So she didn't see it as a barrier or something that was going to stop them. She
Opportunity.
just, yeah, an opportunity, or it's not going to stop me doing what I'm doing. We just have to take this reality as it is and work
I,
within that space.
yeah,
So
I
yeah.
think that's one thing that people are going to really have to get used to now with
Mm,
AI and what's
mm,
coming with AI.
mm.
We are going to see changes
Yeah,
in how everything is done that are
everything.
gonna in a year, a decade's worth of past changes are going to happen within a year. And then within 6 months, it's going to get faster and faster.
Yeah.
And to be able to change and adapt, I think is going to be one of the strongest
Yes. So
traits.
my copywriting business, I think, was like one of the first on the front line of that, right? It was the obvious thing to
Right.
go because
Right.
it's writing, right? You've got ChatGPT coming in. But now I'm starting to see as well. I mean, you hear all the time of layoffs, companies making really big layoffs of people. And then I saw on Facebook the other day some photographer put a post up about how his business had been affected and he was struggling to find work because people just weren't using natural photography anymore because of all the AI that could be used. So his business is almost gone. And a lot of these businesses that we thought were normal and lasting and you just take for granted, they're just in a way not needed. I think there's still the human element that we all crave and the pendulum swings back and forward, I
Yeah.
think sometimes, and people are still needed and jobs where it's people focused will always be needed,
Yes.
but it's just you've got to work around the new reality. It's a reality, you
Yeah.
can't put it back in the bottle, so you've got to accept what it is and work out where you sit within that new paradigm basically. So
Yeah, you've reminded me. There's a book that I read once. It's called "It's Not the Big That Eat the Small; It's the Fast That Eat the Slow." And I
yeah,
think I need to get that book back out and reread
Hmm.
it because I have a
that's
feeling it will
good.
come in handy.
Yes, and you
My
can
very
deny
good
it all you want. Yeah.
my very good friend was a graphics art designer, and we were talking 2.5 years ago, and we were talking about something. I don't remember what it was. She goes, "Yeah, I'm looking for a different career," and I'm like, "Gina, what are you talking about? All I have known you to do is great." And she goes, "Yeah, but with AI," and I'm like, AI, what's AI? When she talked about chat and all, and that was
Uh,
just 2 years ago,
yeah,
2.5 years ago, and she was like, "Oh, it's coming. It's putting you need to look into it, and this, that, and the other." And the everybody thinks that the internet was fast and the cellular phone was fast. Chat is going to be 100
yeah,
times faster
it's
than that.
insane.
It's just amazing. And
Mhm.
again, like we said earlier, get comfortable with being uncomfortable and don't don't stop your passion. If you have a
Yeah,
passion for something, live out your passion. Life is way too short. The world is so fast. And if you're
yeah,
not living out your passion and living it for someone else and something else, it creates a position, I find, of people that live in a position of weakness to where they don't feel whole.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And it's to me, all the time in my business, all the time I've been running my business, I've never felt like I'm working. People say, God, you work so many hours, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not working,
Yeah.
right? I'm just doing what I want to do. It's not a job.
What do they say? 95% is mindset, 5% is strategy.
Yeah, yeah. The mindset is so important.
Yeah.
So important. It's the hardest thing, and it is a journey. I didn't overnight have the mindset. I went through so much training, worked with coaches, just understanding how I need to think. And then even you've seen these things on these memes or whatever on social media where they're saying business is not a straight line. It's not even like this. It's like this. It's going round and it's back and forward. And it's the same with your emotions as well. Sometimes during the day, even not even day to day, but within a day, you can have a mix of emotions. And it's learning to, let's say, really just keep yourself positive. I think positivity is a really important thing. Is even when things are not working, things are down, just reminding yourself that it will get better and stuff like that. And then when things do get better, you're thinking, oh, this is wonderful. And then you forget the bad times. But then you've got to learn how to put yourself into that mindset when you are feeling low, because it is all state of mind, right? And you attract positivity if you exude positivity. You attract negativity if you exude negativity. So it's really important. Mindset is just everything, I think, in business.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about new clients. So you have a new client that's brand new that comes on board. What's that look like for you?
So it's just understanding, first of all, where they want to go. What is their journey? What do they want to do? What do they want to achieve and how? Looking at, we always start with their personal brand just to make sure that's in line. But then if they want to start a business, then looking at what are they good at? What do they like? And I find that a lot of people undervalue themselves. They undervalue their skills. So when they're saying, oh, I want to start a business, but I don't know what to start a business in. And so we start exploring, what are you good at? But also, what are you interested in as well? So an example of this would be a lady that I did a VIP day with at one point. And I thought we were taking her through her existing business to free her from her business. We were building systems in her business. So that was the plan for the day, was to start to build these systems so that she didn't have to be there all the time. Her staff could work through things. She wasn't overseeing everything, free these hours for her. And she was looking at semi-retirement at this point. So that's what we thought was going to happen. And then the first question I asked her, I said, what is it that you really want to do? And she said, I want to help women through menopause. And I was like, okay, that came out left field. Something completely different. So then we started to explore that and ended up building a whole brand system for her for that kind of business. How could you help people in this space?
How
And
awesome.
what's that going to look like? So we did half a day doing her systems for a business, then the rest of the day concentrate on building this new business for her.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, she burst into tears, but it was tears of happiness because she could finally see that she could do what she wanted to do, not what she was dragged into doing for the
Yeah.
last
What
10 years of her business.
do you remember why she thought she couldn't do that? Was it because of how much time her business took, or?
That would have been part of it. Yeah, that her business was consuming every waking hour, I would say. But also she had an interest in health and knowing like the way her body was changing, how she had to adapt to change how she lived her life. And she researched that and found that out for herself. So she was doing it for herself, but she didn't think about at that point helping other people do the same, or realizing that was something that she could pass on. But she was always posting food pictures, and people used to say to her, why are you posting food? You don't want to be posting food. You're a businesswoman. And finally, then when she started doing her menopause business, all of those pictures made sense.
Yeah.
Because those pictures were helping people to change their diet and all this kind of stuff. So
That's great.
it all fell into place. All right.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your true love and passion. So let's talk about the true love and passion
This is
that
my true
Angie
love
has.
and passion.
Cool. Alice Cooper. Ooh. School.
That is it. That is it. It's out for summer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Talk about the love of music and where that started. And you play an instrument. Tell everybody about that. You have to talk about the sax in a box and how that came about.
That's
And
a saxophone in a box, not
yes,
what
yes.
it sounded like at
Yes.
first, but yes.
But so yes. So tell us about your love of music and genre of music.
Okay, so I've always had a love of music. I've always, like, right from when my dad taught me how to play the recorder. So my dad taught me and my sister how to play the recorder and how to read music. So started there, then in school, and then at school I was in the school orchestra and I played a flute, which I didn't really enjoy. I was signed to it, but I did it. And then the only way to leave the school orchestra was to leave school. you couldn't get out of it. But then, like, through the love of music and all the, I suppose I listened to a wide range of different styles of music, right through from country, jazz, rock, heavy metal, listen to it all. Blues.
Awesome.
But the sax has always been for me the sexiest sound. I just love the sound of the sax.
That's great.
Yeah.
When I'd had my daughter, like when I had my daughter, I walked into the gynecologist's office after I had my daughter. This is my second child. And I had my saxophone case with me. And she says, what's that? I says, my saxophone. I'm learning sax. And she goes, oh my God, Angela, don't you think you've got enough to do? But so after I had my daughter, I was watching a TV program with my husband. There was a sax playing, and I just love the sax. I'd love to be able to play that. And then he said, why don't you? And I went, oh, yeah, why don't I? So I took myself off to Yamaha music school and I booked some lessons, and
it's almost exactly like the recorder.
Yeah, it's the same fingering, right?
The fingering's the same as a recorder, because
flute, same. Really?
Angie and I have this in common. I did play the saxophone in the jazz ensemble and the wind ensemble in high school. So
okay. Yeah. So I learned to play the saxophone, but the problem in Singapore is that we live in flats, apartment blocks, and the sax is so loud, right? And it reverberates around the room. So then I had to I was exploring, okay, how can I practice so I'm not disturbing the neighbors? Or how can I dampen the sound so it can take the decibels down a bit? So I researched online, and you can get these soundproof boxes that you can put your sax in, and it's got 2 holes, and you can play. You can't see your saxophone, but you can play it through the holes, right? And the top bit sticks out, and you play from there, right? So that was how I was playing at that point, and then I discovered you can see at the background.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not, some people say, is that a machine gun you got? No. So this is the digital sax. So Yamaha brought out a digital sax, which allows you to, the top is not the same. The mouthpiece is a proper sax mouthpiece. So you lose that. in the
Yeah.
practice.
So
But the
it doesn't
practice
use
is
it
just
doesn't
for the
use it doesn't
fingers.
use a reed or
No, it's you just
ah.
blow into it.
So you can
So
hear
it helps with
yourself.
the
You have
fingering.
earphones,
So I
right?
can plug, yeah. So I can't. You can play it, and you can be heard if you wanted to, but you can put your headphones in and just play so you can hear only. So it allows you to play silently without disturbing anybody else, but you still get the finger movement, the muscle
Is
memory.
that all the same? The finger movement, is it the same as a real sax or
Yeah,
because you said
exactly the
you,
same.
oh, exactly the same.
Exactly
Okay,
the same.
gotcha.
Exactly the same spacing. If it just feels like a sax.
That's
Right? And you
awesome.
just don't have the bell at the end,
Yes.
and you don't have the mouthpiece at the
Yeah. So
top.
so our recording of our podcast with Angie probably is going to cost me $1,000 or so for this new saxophone because it is really cool.
You've got one, did you? Did you
I
get?
not yet, but
Okay.
No, not yet, but he'll get it.
it's on
You'll
my
get it.
list. Yeah,
Yes.
it's on my
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. It's fun.
So something
Definitely.
tells me, Angie, I'd love to switch our playlists off of my phone with your playlist because I got a feeling they're very similar.
Oh, I don't know.
Uh, it could be. I listen to a lot of heavy metal, and
Okay.
I
Okay.
played a lot of jazz and a lot of Beethoven and Bach. I got some college credits for
Okay.
doing that. So,
Okay.
but
I
I
don't
do.
listen to too much classical music, but I do love Vivaldi, Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I do love that, which is a bit strange, but
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, mostly Alice Cooper, as I said, is a big one. Eagles,
Yeah.
Meatloaf,
Yes. Yes.
Meatloaf,
That's great.
and then even things. Chris Rea died just before Christmas, and I just love his stuff as well. I love people with really either unique or strong voices, like Tom Jones.
Tom Jones, yeah.
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 I went to see Tom Jones a few times through my life. Very, really well worth catching.
That's awesome.
Mm.
So what inspiring message could you give someone that is trying to create a brand, and what direction, what path would you tell them that they need to go down to look at? How can people get in contact with you? We'll obviously post it on our site. We'll have that. But so what's your advice to someone that's looking to create that brand?
Just say do it. And as I said, start to think about what you represent, what you stand for, and what you don't stand for. So I think sometimes it's quite easy to start with what you don't stand for so that you can remove all of that. And it's usually people are quite passionate about what they don't stand for. And then look at what it is that you do stand for. What is important to you? What is your key message? And for me, like, I discovered mine was freedom. Right.
That's awesome.
That was my keyword, was freedom, and a bit of a rebel kind of thing. I don't follow rules as much.
I get that. I get that all too well.
Yeah. So that was for me, and like an insight into who I was, that freedom was really important. So just understanding yourself, and it's something, as I said, you've got blind spots, right? It's hard to do that by yourself. It's easier if you're guided. And Mark, as you mentioned, when you were in that group where people were jamming off each other, then you get insights you wouldn't necessarily have had. Like, people will say things to you that will spark. And sometimes it just takes one sentence, and that's what it is. Right?
Exactly.
And it's just getting to that. But it's also understanding that you don't let it stop you moving forward. That if you don't feel it's perfect at the moment, don't let it stop you, because one, is never going to be perfect. Two, it'll definitely change down the line. I've had several rebrands of my own personal brand over the years. I'm not the same, because I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You are always going to be changing. You're always going to be finding different things. And especially now with AI, everything is moving so fast, right? Nobody knows what's up and down anymore, in a way. So you just got to roll with whatever and just do what you feel comfortable with, and don't let anybody tell you can't do it, because you can.
That's awesome.
My mentor, Bob Proctor, said you find your goal, what it is that you truly have to have. And all you have to do is take the first step there. Yeah. You probably won't be a direct path. like you said, it's going to go up and down and backwards and around in a circle. And eventually, because when you're driving, you can't see around the corner of where you're going until you get to the corner. And then you'll see the next step of where you should go. So that's just such great advice to give people.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Mark, do you have anything?
Nope, that was it. I could talk to Angie all day, but no, I think we've had a great learning experience.
I love being on with you too.
How to create a brand and how to be resilient and flexible and persistent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Those are all very key words. Yeah.
Yes.
Angie, listen, we do appreciate you being on. Thanks for having us on your podcast. And it's just been really interesting to talk to you and to learn what you do. And you're an amazing person, incredible host and guest. And so thank you for that.
Yes.
So glad 2026 is here, new year and new things to come. Hope to have you on again in the future. And with that being said, we appreciate you, the listener. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Huddle for Success, where we come to you every Monday with a new episode. Also join us every Wednesday and Friday, where we do a Huddle Up session with a quick mindful thought. And with that being said, stay huddled up.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Huddle for Success. If you found it helpful and want to support others on their journey, share this podcast, leave us a rating, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you next week on Huddle for Success. Stay huddled up.